Missouri, and then we'll get to our active weather for us. These rainfall totals are outrageous. In 2 days, you're talking 7-8 inches of rain. That's twice what we typically get for the entire month in these areas. So that's why we did see flooding, and the storms were powerful, and we still have flood alerts posted through this afternoon. There's flood watches stretching from Missouri all the way over to Kentucky, down into Tennessee, up into Illinois as well. And one of the reasons is we have a very wet atmosphere, and we have a boundary that can help squeeze this out. And the upper level energy just keeps riding along. Essentially, the big ridging that we have in the south, which is pushing back towards the southwest, just keeps directing the flow of traffic right over these same areas. So where we've been active, we're going to continue to stay active as we head through the next week. We already have flash flood warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings for us, everything riding along that boundary because they're friends. I mean, if you think of thunderstorms, they're just tiny little low pressures. Then you think about a front. Well, that's kind of like an elongated low pressure. And then you have the actual low pressure, right, that we always think of with low pressure. So the low pressures come in different shapes and sizes, like most things in life. So there's your thunderstorm driving right through Sullivan, right over the highway, making its way towards I-55. Flash flood warnings just north of Jeff City for us. I-70 still seeing some of those stronger storms, as is 50. You see flash flood warnings in Eldon. I mean, they're just abound for us this morning. And right now we do have that severe thunderstorm warning in Franklin, Jefferson, and also into Washington counties for us. So strong winds with that. There's a look at the flash flood warnings we have in the state of Illinois. Fairfield, you're in that. I-64, you're in that. Down into Evansville. As we head over into the Kentucky area, we are going to see that heavy rain too crossing over the river. So totals for us in the past 24 hours have been a month's worth or twice a month's worth of rainfall. That's why we are really worried about the days to come, because you have this really saturated ground and not a lot changing with our pattern. So through tomorrow, there's that chance for flooding for us, the chance for stronger thunderstorms, Tennessee down into Rocket City, over into northern Georgia. We could see the threat for some of those stronger thunderstorms. And notice, as we go through the day, everything pushes from Kentucky down in Tennessee over the Appalachians, continues to drop south. But Jim, we just continue to reload with more energy coming on through and riding along this surface boundary as well.
Yeah, all that coming from
basically come in from the west, go across the Intermountain West, go across the plains, and then head east. So we're just going to stay in the same trend for us. Rain. Look at all the wind reports that we had across Utah on into Colorado, even into places like Nebraska as well. Such a great state, that state of Nebraska. And we are going to see more storms fire up today. We have the instability. We'll go past that because our water vapor was not acting friendly with us. But there's your instability. They just have these pieces of energy. And I will say, there's a couple that come through that are a little more boisterous, but overall, it's just like this smear of energy. Maybe I should say schmear of energy, because it's breakfast time, right? Going across the country with these storms. So that's why it's kind of widespread areas. There's some that have a little more concentration and a little help from the winds potentially. And so watch for some of those stronger winds today here. And we will see them perhaps up to 75 miles an hour. Definitely not out of the question. We've seen a lot of 60, 70 mile an hour winds as of late. And then again, there's more rain. So that gives us the potential for flooding from Salt Lake City on eastbound. But there's your energy. You can see the orange and yellow. It's just kind of smeared out, right? It's not like we have this tight little ball of energy that we see sometimes. So that means that a lot of people get storms, and they could be significant too, because you have that forcing in the atmosphere and you have the moisture. We need the rain, though, right here in the center of the country. So I know we don't want the severe weather, but Jim, there is a little silver lining there with the rain coming in.
Yeah. We'll take what we can get.
About Hammerhead Sharks in the last 3 minutes. So we're going to tell you more about that. Into America's Morning headquarters. It's Wednesday, August 3rd. The ongoing summer heat wave is sending temps soaring into the triple digits. More than 25 million are under an excessive heat warning. Here's a look at the temperatures today. These are our heat index. Notice places like Little Rock, 115, Jackson down to Alexandria, 112, 114 into Corpus. And notice that spreads west, it spreads east. You just cannot escape it. It'll all thanks to this big high pressure in the south, storms are riding up and over it. But what's going to happen in the coming days is this high is actually going to push back a little bit farther west, and that means that we're going to see that heat and then probably shut down that monsoon a little bit if we have more of that ridging over into the southwest, which means, Jim, we lose some of this moisture that's coming around on the west side of this high pressure.
You know, it's just huge. A monster ridge. Look at it, it's just dominating how much of the country it dominates.
Yeah. Continue. We are now in August. I can't believe it already, but we have the potential for more records to be set. And this has been the story all summer long. It's not only highs, but also our lows. Those could set some records too. They extend from the northwest all the way down to the southeast. It's really impossible to escape. The northeast is the only place where we have a little dip in that jet stream. And so we've had some of that cooler air, but our high pressure is shifted, excuse me, from the southwest to the center of the country, and that's why things are soaring for us. And though we continue to stay hot, this ridge is going to move back towards the southwest. And this does a couple things. One thing that it does, it means our temperatures are going to jump back up. And they've been, listen, 110, 106, 115 is hot, right? It's dangerous no matter what level. But this shuts down the monsoon rains for the southwest. Because you have high pressure right over you, you're not going to get rain. So that's not great. But today, it's going to be right in the center of the country where we could be breaking records, tying records. Baton Rouge, our records from 1947. We're talking over 70 years ago. Our highs today, this is what it will say on the thermometer, in the shade. And then as you get that heat index, we're talking 115 in the spots like Little Rock, 112 in Jackson. Again, that's still in the shade. Tomorrow, we have the chance to break records. I don't like that all these records, Jim, these are all recent. Even 1994, that's still a little too recent for me to be breaking it again.
Steph, how many of those pages have we shown this summer?
And we want to take you live now into Missouri. You can see as you look over on the left-hand side of your screen, a lot of lightning for us here. And then we also have Charles Peak, who is driving through Missouri as well, getting some video for us. But, man, the lightning is going nuts here. That's in Sikeston, Missouri. And we can show you that throughout really the eastern and southern portions of Missouri, we do have flood advisories, flood watches. They extend onto Kentucky and Tennessee down into northern Alabama has them as well. Everything is going to essentially ride right along this boundary here. They're friends. They get along, and so they want to hang out together. And that's why you see the storms taking the path that they are taking. We do have flash flood warnings that extend from Illinois to Indiana on into Missouri as well. Very heavy rainfall. We could see 1 to 2 inch an hour rainfall rates. Additional flash flooding is certainly possible because not only the rainfall rates, but the grounds are already saturated. So you get more rain on top of that. And I mean, that's like taking a cup that's almost full and pouring another whole cup of water in it. It's going to overflow. So that's what the ground will do here, or it just can't absorb it. Very strong storms crossing over I-55, Cape Girardeau, getting hit this morning. And as we go northbound towards I-70, just north of Jeff City, we are under a flash flood warning as we head through the day. Ashland, New Bloomfield, we're in that flash flood warning. And then over into Kentucky, everything is dropping down. Anywhere from Owensboro to Louisville, even Evansville, Indiana, we are under a flash flood warning for us. Jordan, we're going to see more of this, not only through the day today, but as you look through the next week, there's not a whole lot changing in the pattern, so just more energy is going to continue to drop on through.
From here, we go to the north.
Some of the totals just over the past 2 days, and they're anywhere from 7 to over 8 inches of rain. So you're talking a month's worth, twice a month's worth of rainfall in a lot of these locations. And that's why we've had so many flood reports. And they've been fierce and feisty. You can see right now here on the upper left-hand corner of your screen, Sikeston, Missouri, down here on the bottom, just flash after flash after flash after flash. Maybe we could point that out on a map, guys, so we can show everyone the exact thunderstorm that's been causing all of that lightning for us. Nashville, you're quiet, but there are going to be storms heading down into Tennessee. So there's a look at our flood watches. They do extend anywhere from Missouri down south into Alabama. We could see 1 to 2 inches of rain an hour, so flash flooding is certainly a possibility. Not to mention, we have severe thunderstorm warning. Look at this, dropping southbound. There's going to be significant winds with this as it crosses over the Mississippi River and makes its way into Tennessee. And all of this rain is essentially just riding along this boundary. And a thunderstorm is a itty-bitty tiny low-pressure system. And so when you have this boundary, this is a stretched out low pressure, and then you have the actual low pressure system. So they're all friends. They all want to hang out. They have the same likes. And so that's why we do have all of this weather happening right now. There's a lot of lift. So this is your severe thunderstorm warning, anticipating this dropping southbound with it. It's on I-55 right now, and people are getting hammered. If you're on I-55, it's hard to see out your window. Flash flood warnings for us crossing over here at 54 north of Jeff City. And as we go into Illinois, we do still have a flash flood warning. Notice all the rain has now finished, and the flash flood warnings don't go away right away because the rain doesn't go away right away. So that's one of the problems. Wow, where is Sikeston, Missouri? I need to look that up, or maybe you guys can stick it on the map. Oh, it's on I-55. Good to know. Thanks. South of Cape Girardeau, that's where it is. All right, good stuff. So here's a look at all the rain the past 48 hours, 11 inches for some of us. More through tomorrow. There's not a whole lot changing in our environment. So notice all the storms still dropping down from Missouri into the southeast for us. And we will see more storms. This is through the day, and watch it develop as we head back into tomorrow afternoon, right over the same area. So it's not going to take a lot in order to get flooding here. And everything, again, goes right down into the south. And Jim, that continues really into next week. Not a huge change in our pattern. A smidge of a difference, but overall.
No, we're going to squish the ridge. Yeah. You're right.
Out, so I'm learning how to wear glasses recently. I've been lucky enough I haven't had to wear them my whole life, and so it's just something new and different. What's not new and different are the storms that are going to continue across not only the Four Corners, but make their way through the plains and all the way into the southeast. So as we look at the current radar, there's a lot of lightning for us into Nebraska as we head down into Kansas, actually northern portions of the state there. This area is really, really dry, though, so we could certainly use all of that rain. We just don't want it with the severe weather. That's where things turn problematic for us. So it's likely that we are going to see severe thunderstorms right into northwestern Kansas, southwestern portions of Nebraska, eastern Colorado, and we could see some of these damaging winds. 50, 60, even 70-plus mile-an-hour winds for us, Burlington, Colby, and also into Trenton. These same spots could also see flooding. And notice that this goes all the way back to Salt Lake City, and everything's kind of going up and over and around that ridge that we have here. And not a lot changes as we go through the next week. And notice that we do have energy popping off these storms. And if you look at the models, the energy is kind of like spread out. We don't have this one big ball. And so that's why you get so much rain everywhere, is that all this yellow and orange is just spread out across the board. It'd be different if we had this one little tight ball of energy, which we don't have right now. We could see that next week into the Great Lakes in the Northeast. But, Jordan, essentially it just means more severe weather really firing up, especially in the afternoon.
Well, time now.
On Pattern at noon with Jordan and myself. We're exploring. Welcome back into America's Morning Headquarters. It's Wednesday, August 3rd. The ongoing summer heat wave is sending temps soaring into the triple digits. More than 25 million under excessive heat warning right now. And look at this. It is ranging anywhere from Florida, Destin, 102, our heat index, 115 into Little Rock, 104 up to Wichita, and 111 as we look into Phoenix. This is all due to our big high pressure that is still situated right over the southern half of the country. And we get all of these storms riding up and over. And remember, there's a full counterclockwise flow around a high. So on the southern side, we get all this moisture coming up into the Four Corners. But sadly, Jim, this high is going to be shifting west, and it's going to shut down that monsoon for us.
Abrams, I think I need to get you right for her to get to the top of the ridge.
That would be really fun. Yeah, I like that.
Seriously, I think that'd be unique.
Tell you about records have been falling left and right, and I think we'll continue to do so. Austin, Texas, current 100-day streak, 26 days. The record is 27. So this is a no-brainer. Not only going to break the record, but again, smash the record. As for an extended period, we'll be above 100. And that's the thing. A lot of our records, we're not just kind of like, oh, beating it by a day or two or half a degree. We are smashing records. And look at all of them that we could see here through Sunday. We're talking highs, we're talking lows, and it's compliments of this big ridge for us, giving heat advisories through the center of the country and also in the southwest. We'll talk about how the high moving west. We have had now 3 active mornings right in Missouri and right in a row, and everything is spreading out. We go from Missouri to Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, down into portions of Tennessee. Tennessee and Alabama. This is where we have flood advisories that are posted for us. Why? Because of all this heavy rain that is really starting to ride southbound on a boundary, and that's going to bring more storms and all of the same. Excuse me. It's been a minute.
She's adding to her Guinness Book of World Records.
We should add them all up, shouldn't we?
I'm telling you, Abrams, you got it. You nailed it.
Nobody, I think, that's season.
Nobody.
All right, back to the maps here. 1 to 2 inches in Haverford rain, definitely possible for us. So additional flash flooding. I'm not laughing about the flash flooding, just the number of sneezes I have. Time to get serious because this is very serious weather for us. Not only do we have flash flood warnings, but severe thunderstorm warnings that have been posted this morning within this. Very gusty winds. Hail is certainly a possibility, but it's really the winds here for us, and I would say the flooding that is going to be the most dangerous. I-55 is really, really rough. By the way, there's Sykeston, where we were watching earlier, the camera with all the lightning, if you've been with us, there into southeastern portions of Missouri. It's all now dropping into Tennessee. Dyersburg is coming in. It was that sneeze that threw me off. Very heavy showers for us heading towards Humboldt as well. But this cluster of rain is going to make its way into Alabama. I think this is something we have to watch for some strong winds as we go through the day. Jordan.
All right, into the north.
Warnings, flash flood warnings, I should say, and it's due in part to the past 2 days being mega wet. I'm talking 2 months worth of rainfall for us into a lot of places here. 7, 8 inches of rain has been outrageous, and there's more that's falling and more that's to come. There's little slight changes in our overall atmosphere, but we are still going to see basically the same pattern. So flood watches are posted. We could see 1 to 2 inch an hour rainfall rates. And remember, just as an example, St. Louis for the entire month typically sees about 3.38 inches. So this caught my eye. I saw some lightning here. Maybe it was at Martin, Tennessee, where a lightning shut out in the lower left-hand corner of your TV screen. So watch that because the rain is coming down into Tennessee. We have it into western Tennessee, and we also have it into eastern Tennessee. It's all just following this boundary because thunderstorms are itty-bitty low pressures. These boundaries are long, just drawn-out low pressures, so they're friendly. They have the same interests. They like to do the same thing, so they hang out together. Long story short. With that said, this is a big line of storms that is pumping right towards the I-40 corridor, which is a very heavily traveled road. So if you know anyone doing that ride, say from Memphis up towards the Nashville area, let them know that this is headed in your direction, and Martin, Tennessee must be in the path of this with all the lightning that's coming on in. Otherwise, multiple flash flood warnings are still in effect for us into Missouri. And notice everything's kind of dropping south and east. And we still have flash flood warnings even though the rain has stopped in Illinois. You can't let your guard down just because the rain has passed. Sometimes it takes a second for that water to rise up. And we have 3 feet of water on Route 50 in Xena, Flora. Cars flooded on some of the roads there. Water up to the hood of some of the cars for us. So it's pretty outrageous. And in that little swath, we have seen, again, near 8 inches of rain in just the past 2 days. Look at this accumulation now, up to nearly a foot of rain. That's what's causing the problem. So through tomorrow, we do have that threat for flash flooding over a big area of real estate for us here. Showers and thunderstorms, Tennessee down towards Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, you're getting into play. It's been pretty quiet overall, but this cluster of storms is going to be just charging southbound for us this afternoon. And then as we work into tonight and tomorrow, Jim, more rain coming on into the picture.
Yeah, and overnight we have to watch what happens.
Not only what we saw into Colorado, but also Utah, Idaho, on into the plains, a lot of wind, a lot of flooding reports for us. These are all the reports we've seen here over the past 24 hours, and we still have more energy in the atmosphere that is going to spread across and give us the threat for severe weather. And we do have a severe thunderstorm warning right here on the border of Nebraska and Kansas. A severe thunderstorm warning means your winds are 58 miles per hour or greater, or you have hail an inch or more in diameter. So keep that in mind as you hear maybe your phone go off or you have big boomers out there. They'll continue to pop off today and anywhere from Nebraska down into Kansas and Colorado. Not only are we going to see the threat for strong winds, we could actually see them as high as 75 miles an hour or greater in some of these. Winds in a severe thunderstorm have to be 58 miles or greater for the thunderstorm to be considered severe, just to give you an idea. So 58 is considered severe. 75 is definitely very very high. There's also that threat for flooding yet again for us over just a huge portion of real estate here in the west, also into the southeast. And notice how we have all this energy that pops up, especially as we head into the afternoon. If you look in the atmosphere, we don't have like one distinct little ball of energy coming through like we will next week as you look into really the end of the weekend, the beginning of next week for the Midwest and the Northeast. This is energy that's kind of just spread out everywhere, smeared out, and so that's why we have scattered storms popping up everywhere here in the west. That will continue not only as we head into the evening hours, but again, as we head into tomorrow, Jordan. There's nothing kind of breaking the cycle for us for a while.
Well, let's get everybody caught up.
That thing, too, a bit of a low pressure associated with it.
That's right.
Coming up today on Pattern at noon, into America's Morning Headquarters on this Wednesday, August 3rd. The ongoing summer heat wave is sending temperatures soaring into the triple digits with more than 25 million under an excessive heat warning. That's the worst of the worst that you're going to get. We have the triple digits anywhere from here in Florida and portions of Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, spreading all the way up into Kansas and back into the Southwest and into Vegas. Jim was saying I should get a ladder and to climb up to give you some perspective. It's too bad. I need just some good ups. That's what I need to do. It's just, you know.
That is a really good up, especially the heels.
Yeah, that would be. High pressure means the flow is clockwise, so that brings moisture in the monsoon, giving us storms into the four corners. Everything goes up and over and then down into the southeast as we head through the day today. But this will be shifting. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But first, we have to talk about all the rain that keeps getting shoved right through the Show Me State with Jim.
And now,
as they get ready to head back to school, while others like mine are already back to school.
They're back to school already?
Oh my gosh, isn't that crazy?
That is really early.
But the opportunity to have fun while learning never ends, of course.
Yeah, the Every Kid Outdoors program offers free access to national lands and waters for fourth graders and their families. Joining us this morning is Jill Leverett, park ranger at Castillo de San Marcos National Monument. Jill, thanks for being with us this morning to talk about how these young students can get their pass and enjoy sites like yours for free.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Honest, a lot of learning happens outside of the classroom. I used to love field trips, right? That was always so much fun. What can they expect while they're visiting Castillo de San Marcos? You said they got a little, I don't know if that was a pamphlet or a flyer that they can go check out. What else are they going to be exploring?
So here,
I always loved stuff like that, or like when you go on an airplane and you get the wings and everything like that. Are there any other ways that you would tailor this experience for the kids once they get there?
Well, we do have kids of all ages.
Yes, exactly.
Really enjoy the cannon and musket firing demonstrations. And then we have various history talks by park rangers.
Which, of course, kids really love. Now, real quick, what are some other, good tips for just picking a place to visit?
Well,
Perfect. Jill Leverett, park ranger at Castillo de San Marcos. Thank you so much for your time. The National Monument there. We appreciate it.
And tomorrow, everyone can visit national parks for free on Great American Outdoors Day. It's in honor of the anniversary of the passage of the Great American Outdoor Act. So get there early and beat the heat, Jim. It's going to be hot in a lot of places. Well, things have been really rough for us here, especially into Missouri. Multiple flash flood warnings. We have very strong storms pushing, though, into Tennessee. These could really crank out the wind. And you have this complex of storms as well that's bowing out. That means strong winds crossing right over the Mississippi River. All of this is just that kind of light, cloudy shield of rain that's not going to be too problematic. But these two entities are what we have to worry about. And there's a possibility of a severe thunderstorm watch as we head throughout the day today. Everything is dropping down a boundary here. And we do have some stronger winds as well. When you see that shape like that, that means they have stronger winds kind of pushing everything out. They come down from the thunderstorm and push out. And sometimes they can be really, really strong. All right, so there's Jackson, Tennessee on the left-hand bottom corner of your screen for you. You can see that it is right here. So these storms are really causing almost blinding conditions on the highways as they're coming through I-40. So I-40 is going to be super slow. A lot of lightning associated with this, too. When there's more lightning, you know that these storms are stronger. That means you got those strong updrafts and downdrafts, convection, separating of charges, and then boom, you get the lightning from that. Otherwise, we have seen poor Sykeston. This is another round coming through for us. We already had a lot of lightning this morning. Now we've got more coming through. Cape Girardeau and also Scott counties were under flash flood warnings. Marble Hill, we're under a flash flood warning. And you can see this line goes back. But this is rain over the same areas over and over again, and that is going to cause problems. This afternoon, this chunk of rain makes its way into the Appalachians, down into the Atlanta metro area, and then you see more storms coming up. And Jordan, they might not be as many as we're seeing this morning, but they do actually, as we head into our Friday morning, start to crank in the southeast.
Yeah, it could be a tough